Okay, I want to start today's deep dive with a bit of a confession. And I have a feeling a lot of you listening are going to relate to this. I have a drawer in my desk.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is the graveyard of good intentions. It's just full of old planners, half-filled journals, printed out vision boards, and goal-setting worksheets from like
The
2018.
classic new year, new made debris field.
Exactly. It is a debris field. And looking at it, I realized something kind of depressing. The model of reality I was using, the way I was trying to change my life, was basically just a grocery list.
Right.
I listed the things I wanted, get fit, write a book, be less stressed, and I treated them like items I could just go pick off a shelf. I thought if I stared at the list long enough or maybe drew a really nice box around it, the reality would just sort of manifest.
And that right there is the static map problem.
Yeah.
It is the fundamental flaw in almost every self-help system out there today.
Yeah.
We treat dynamic, living, breathing systems like your career or your health as if they were still photographs.
Yeah.
We look at the what, but we completely ignore the how.
And that is exactly why today is going to be different. We are not doing a tips and tricks session. We are going deep, probably deeper than we have ever gone into the actual machinery of how change happens.
Absolutely.
We are moving from the anatomy of the root square chart, which we have touched on before, to the physiology, the physics of it.
Right. Because if the previous discussions were about drawing the map, today is about the wind, the terrain, and the gravity that you actually encounter when you start walking.
Yeah.
We were looking at the energy flow between the boxes.
I have to be honest with you. When I opened the source material for this deep dive, I felt a mix of total excitement and, frankly, I felt like I needed a stiff drink.
Just a lot.
It is so dense. We are talking about fractions, matrices, operators.
Hmm.
At one point, I saw a formula that looked like, I don't know, algebra had a baby with existential philosophy.
That is a pretty accurate description, actually.
I mean, there are slashes and circled plus signs and specific instructions on how to calculate the fourth quarter. It is intimidating.
It can absolutely look that way. But I want to frame it differently for you and the listener. Don't think of it as a math test. Think of it as the source code of reality.
Source code. Okay.
Yeah, if you are a programmer, you know that the interface, the pretty buttons you click on your screen, is just the surface. The real work happens in the code. Today, we are opening up the terminal.
I like that.
We are looking at the fourth quarter principle, the branched equatorial matrix, and this ultimate, slightly mysterious goal called dissolution.
Dissolution. I love that word. It sounds final. It sounds like the end of a sci-fi movie where the hero transcends space and time.
In a way, it is, but we have a lot of math to do before we get to transcend anything.
Fair enough. Before we get to the end of the world or the end of the chart, let's ground everyone.
Good idea.
If you are joining us for the first time, or if you just need a refresh, we are discussing the root square chart from the Metamatics system. Give us the 30-second elevator pitch on the hierarchy, just so we are all visualizing the exact same architecture.
Okay, visualize a perfect square. In the dead center, you have the root.
The root.
That is the emergent center. That is the you that you were trying to build, the 100% whole.
Got it.
Radiating out from that center are 4 branches. These are your main capability domains. Think career, family, health, self.
Okay, so the core areas of life.
Exactly. Growing from those branches are leaves, specifically 12 functional states, 3 per branch.
12 leaves total.
Right. And finally, at the very edge, the apollonic level, you have the fruits. 36 actionable daily microhabits, 3 per leaf.
Okay. Roots, branches, leaves, fruits. It sounds lovely and organic. It honestly sounds like a gardening manual.
It does.
But today is not about drawing the plants. It is about the fact that usually when people draw this chart, it dies on the vine.
Precisely. You can draw the most beautiful chart in the world. You can color code it, you can laminate it, but if you don't understand the energy transfer, the actual physics between those layers, it is just ink on paper.
It's useless.
It is a hallucination. You are hallucinating a life you aren't actually living.
So let's stop hallucinating and start calculating. I want to jump into the first big concept that explains this energy transfer. The source material calls it the fourth quarter principle.
Yes, the math problem.
And this started with a math problem that genuinely confused me. I spent about 20 minutes staring at one page in the notes thinking there was a typo.
The 75% plus 25% rule.
Right. So walk me through this. Simple math. If a leaf is made of 3 fruits, my brain says 100 divided by 3 is 33.3%.
Naturally.
Each fruit should be one-third of the leaf. One-third, one-third, one-third.
That is the linear assumption,
Yep.
and it's what almost everyone gets wrong.
But the expert notes in the source material correct this immediately. They basically yell at you in bold text. They say, no, it is 75% construction plus 25% overlap.
Yes.
So if I have 3 fruits and they only add up to 75%, where's the missing quarter? Did we lose it? Is there a tax?
The reality tax. Now look, this is one of those common misconceptions in planning. We think that if we just assemble the parts, the whole automatically exists.
Right.
We think the sum of the components equals the object. But the metamatics system argues that the 3 named elements, the 3 fruits that make up a leaf only, account for 75% of the reality.
Okay, so to find the missing piece, what is the 4th quarter?
The 4th quarter isn't a hidden 4th fruit you forgot to write down.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a secret item. It is the tailored utilization.
Tailored utilization.
It is the overlap. It represents how those 3 elements are used together. It is the timing, the rhythm, the context, and the integration.
The source material used a cooking analogy that finally made it click for me, because I love bread.
Everyone understands bread.
So let's say I have the 3 fruits of bread. I have flour, I have water, I have yeast. Those are my 3 components.
Right. You have them on the counter. You have 100% of the ingredients.
But if I just leave them in 3 separate piles on the counter, do I have bread?
No. You have a messy kitchen.
Exactly. I have the parts, but I don't have the whole.
You need the process.
Yeah.
You need the kneading, the rising, the proofing, the baking. That process, the dynamic interaction between the ingredients, is the 4th quarter.
That's the 25%.
That is the 25%. Without that overlap, the ingredients are useless. In fact, they are worse than useless because they take up space without providing nutrition.
That is a killer distinction. Taking up space without providing nutrition. That feels like so many of the habits I have tried to adopt. I am doing the thing, but I am not getting the result.
Because you aren't synthesizing. There was another analogy in the notes that I thought was even more technical but really sharp. The plug-in outlet.
Oh yeah, this one was good. Break that down for us.
Imagine fruit 1 is a plug, just a physical plug on a cord.
Okay.
Fruit 2 is an outlet in the wall. Fruit 3 is the knowledge of electricity. You understand how voltage works.
Got it.
You possess all 3 fruits. You have them in your inventory. But do you have light?
Not until you plug it in.
Exactly. The 4th quarter is the act of plugging it in to complete the circuit. It is the dynamic synthesis.
That makes total sense.
A lot of people have the skills. They have the gym membership, that's the plug. They have the time, that's the outlet. They have the workout plan, that's the knowledge.
But they don't actually go.
They lack the 4th quarter, the act of connecting them in real time to generate heat.
So the 4th quarter is the verb.
It is the active ingredient. It is the only part of the equation that is alive. The fruits are static. The 4th quarter is you.
That makes sense. It is the difference between having a library card and actually reading. But here is where it gets really interesting and where the corrected logic in the source material threw me a curveball.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
I was nodding along thinking, okay, 72525, got it. And then the text says, exceptions apply.
The critical exception.
We just said 3 items plus overlap equals 100%. That applies to fruits making a leaf. And it applies to leaves making a branch. But does it apply to the branches making the root?
No.
It does not.
I assumed it did. I thought, okay, 4 branches, so they must be, what, 20% each plus a 20% overlap. But the text says no. The root is formed by 4 branches. And in this specific case, each branch is exactly 25% of the whole.
Correct.
There is no hidden 5th quarter here.
This is a crucial distinction, and it is philosophical as much as it is mathematical.
Why the difference? Why does the math change at the very top of the pyramid?
Because branches aren't components like flour and water. Branches are equivocal perspectives.
Equivocal perspectives, that is a $10 phrase. Unpack that for us.
Think of the root not as a loaf of bread that you bake, but as a holographic image or a complex life situation.
Okay.
The 4 branches are 4 different dimensional lenses viewing that same scenario. They are 4 complete identities.
Give me an example.
Let's say the root is a meaningful life. You have 4 branches: power, which is career; presence, which is relationships; purpose, which is spirituality; and proclivity, which is health.
These aren't ingredients, they are viewports. When you have 4 100% developed branches, when your career is solid, your relationships are deep, your purpose is clear, and your health is vital, and you place them in proper proximity around your life, the whip just occurs.
It just occurs. That sounds, I don't know, suspicious. That sounds like magic. Build it and they will come.
This is not magic. It is emergence. Think of it like a tent.
A tent.
If you plant the four corner poles, the branches correctly, and pull the canvas tight, the peak of the tent, the root, emerges automatically.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to build the peak separately. The peak is just what happens when the four corners are strong.
I see. So you don't do the root. You don't wake up and do a meaningful life.
Exactly. You wake up and you work on your career, you love your family, you train your body, you work on the branches.
And if the branches are 100%?
Meaning 25% each, the total structure, the root is the inevitable geometric result.
That is a massive shift in thinking. Usually we try to force the outcome. We try to force success. You are saying if we build the four lenses correctly, success is just what the light looks like passing through them.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
But, and there's always just because the root emerges automatically doesn't mean the branches just sit there quietly.
Right. They aren't statues.
They are massive high-energy systems. And if you have four high-energy systems in a confined space, your life, they're going to interact.
And this leads us to the second section of our deep dive. The part of the document that honestly scared me the most, the branched equatorial.
The 24-pair system.
Even the name sounds like a military operation. The source text describes this as a fully saturated directional matrix.
It's a mouthful.
I read that phrase and I honestly wanted to close the PDF. It sounds like something from a quantum physics dissertation. It sounds hostile to the average person just trying to get their life together.
It is hostile, in a way. It is hostile to laziness. It is hostile to the idea that you can just wing it.
Okay, defend it. Why do we need a 24-pair matrix just to balance a checkbook and raise kids?
Because your life isn't a list. It is a web. A fully saturated directional matrix just means that every branch has a relationship with every other branch.
Right.
It is not enough to say, I have a career branch and a family branch.
Yeah.
You have to ask, what is the specific nature of the traffic flowing between them?
Okay, so it is the interplay.
It is formalized in two columns, and this is where the physics really kicks in. You have the iterator column, which contains the 12 primary directed pairs.
The iterator? That sounds like a Terminator robot.
It is the driver. This is where branch A initiates action toward branch B. A pushes B.
Okay, A pushes B.
And then you have the delineator column, which are the 12 converse-inverse pairs. This is where the direction is flipped. B pushing back on A.
This is getting abstract. Let's use the analogy from the source material because it was brilliant. The professional orchestra with dual conductors.
This is the best way to visualize it. Imagine your life is an orchestra. Usually there is one conductor. But in the metamatic system, to maintain perfect balance in this matrix, you have two conductors on the podium at the exact same time.
The primary conductor and the assistant conductor.
Right. The primary conductor is the iterator. They are the initiating force. They point to the brass section, let's say that is your career, and say, loud, now, drive the rhythm.
They're saying go.
They direct specific timing, aggression, and expression.
Yes.
And the assistant, what are they doing? Just watching.
No. And this is key. The assistant conductor is the delineator. While the primary is yelling at the brass to blast, the assistant is simultaneously signaling the strings and the woodwinds, maybe that is your family and health, to yield.
To yield.
To provide the harmonic foundation, to be the bed that the brass rests on.
So they are managing the support.
Exactly. If the assistant conductor falls asleep and the strings start trying to play as loud as the brass, what happens?
Cacophony. Noise. You get a wall of sound. You get burnout. The chart collapses. The system ensures continuous dynamic equilibrium. You are never just driving your life. For every drive, there is a counterbalancing support system active in the background.
Let's apply this to a real collision. Let's take career power and family presence.
Of classic conflict.
In the iterator column, let's say career is driving family. A initiates toward B. What does that look like?
That looks like using your career to resource your family. I am working hard so we can afford this vacation. I am building a network so my kids have opportunities.
Right.
Career is the active force. Family is the beneficiary.
Okay, that feels good. I'm doing this for you.
But you need the flip side. You need the delineator. Family pushing back on career.
Which is what? Family driving career.
No, remember, in the delineator role, it is about framing and support. It looks like family grounding career.
Right.
I'm coming home at 6 p.m., not because I am lazy, but because my family role delineates my work hours.
Oh, I see.
It is the family providing the emotional stability that allows you to go back and fight the career battle tomorrow.
So if you only have the iterator and working through the family, but you never have the delineator, the family sets boundaries on the work, you end up with a rich absentee dad.
Exactly. You become a wallet, not a father. You have A pushes B, but you don't have B pushes A. The matrix is broken. And when the matrix breaks, the root collapses.
This is heavy. It forces you to look at every relationship in your life and ask, is this a two-way street?
Or more specifically, is the traffic controlled? This connects directly to the math we saw later in the documents.
Yeah.
The full expression equation. We're getting into the real source code now.
Oh boy. The algebra. I'm going to read this out, and I want everyone to just visualize it for a second. The equation is A/B, circled plus, C/D.
A over B synthesized with C over D.
Right. Let's break down these operators because they are the verbs of the system. First, the slash.
The slash is the filter. This is huge. When we see A/B, it implies a fraction. But in mathematics, it means A is filtered by B, or A is viewed through the lens of B.
Give me a real-world example, because A filtered by B sounds like an Instagram photo.
It sort of is.
Yeah.
Let's take creativity filtered by time constraints. You aren't just being creative. You are channeling your creativity through the constraint of a deadline. The deadline filters the creativity.
And that changes the output.
Completely. Creativity without the time filter is just daydreaming. It is, I am going to write a novel someday.
Right.
But creativity through the time filter, I have to finish this chapter by 5 p.m., that creates a product. That creates pressure.
So the slash turns raw potential into specific kinetic energy.
Correct. Now look at the next symbol, the circle plus.
The synthesis.
It is not addition. In regular math, 2 plus 2 is 4. In chemical synthesis, hydrogen plus oxygen isn't just gas plus gas.
Right.
It is water. It is an emergent substance. It is wet. Neither hydrogen nor oxygen is wet, but the synthesis is.
So when we see A over B, circled plus C over D, we are saying take this filtered pair and that filtered pair and chemically combine them to create a completely new reality.
Yes. You are mixing compounds to get an explosion or a solution.
But the part of the formula that really caught my attention and the part that I think challenges our ego the most was the number one, the unity operator, this idea of the position of one.
This is critical for agency. The one represents you, the conscious agent. The variable one can move around in these fractions.
So let's play with this. If I have A/1.
That means A over 1. You are in the denominator. A is the numerator. You are the foundation. It translates to, I wield A. I'm the driver. A is my tool.
So power over 1 means I wield power.
I am the master of my power.
Okay, that sounds like what we all want. Control. But the system says we can't stay there.
No. If you are always in the denominator, you become a tyrant. The system introduces the flip. 1/A.
1 over A.
Now you are the numerator. You are being held up by A. It translates to A shapes me. You are the passenger. A is the context or the environment.
Power shapes me. The environment shapes me.
Exactly. And the text talks about the inversion kick, which basically says you have to flip the equation to test for balance.
So if my life equation is always I control everything, A over 1, but I never allow myself to be 1 over A. I never yield. I never let the moment change me.
Then you are brittle. You will break. A healthy system, the full expression, requires the ability to toggle, to wield and to yield.
There was a beautiful example in the source material about the walk home.
Oh, I love this one. It explains deep integration.
So on the surface, the equation might look like I am walking, subject verb. I am doing the thing. That is A over 1.
Right. I'm walking down the street. It is functional. But deep integration, the profound experience of being alive, is notated as 1 over A.
1 over A. It is nested.
It essentially resolves to walking is who I am. The structure devolves into identity. You aren't doing the walk. The walk and the walker have synthesized.
That feels like flow state.
Is exactly flow state defined mathematically. The separation between actor and action disappears.
But to get there, to get to that flow state, we need to know what we are actually doing. We need words. And the source material is very strict, almost pedantic about language. It talks about linguistic resolution versus conceptual shadows.
So this is where most people fail before they even start. They use shadows.
A conceptual shadow is a vague term, right? Like success or fitness.
Exactly. I want to get fit. That is a shadow. It is a blurry outline of a desire. You cannot execute a shadow.
Yeah.
You can't wake up in the morning and do Fitness, what does that mean? Do you run? Do you lift? Do you eat kale? Do you meditate? Fitness is not an instruction.
So linguistic resolution is.
It is the process of transforming those shadows into executable laws, high-definition instructions.
The example that really hit home for me, and this was kind of heartbreaking but illuminating, was the comparison between the school athlete and the paraplegic.
Yes, this illustrates the point perfectly.
So both of them might have the same shadow goal, gold medal. On a vision board, they look the same. Picture of a gold medal.
Right, though what is identical?
But in the root square chart, the variables, the executable laws, must be completely different.
Think about it. For the school athlete, the variables, the fruits, are things like sprints, squats, dietary discipline.
Standards.
But for the paraplegic, the equation for that same gold medal must include variables like equipment mastery. Their wheelchair is a massive part of the equation, and adaptive training and upper body isolation.
If the paraplegic tries to use the school athlete's linguistic variables,
They will fail. If they write do squats on their chart, they fail. Not because they lack heart, but because their map doesn't match their territory. Their linguistic resolution was lazy.
So linguistic resolution is about finding the words that match your constraints.
Precisely. It is about being ruthlessly specific about your reality. You cannot borrow someone else's words for your chart.
Which leads us perfectly into the practical application. How do we actually fill the boxes? The outline calls this variable determination and silhouette allocation.
Silhouette allocation is where the rubber meets the road. This is the reality check.
It starts with a hard constraint, the 100-unit constraint.
You only have 100 units of capacity.
Yeah.
Energy, time, focus, call it what you want. It sums to 100. You cannot have 110. You definitely cannot have 150.
I feel attacked. My to-do list is usually sitting at about 180 units. I am trying to be a 180% person in a 100% world.
Most of us are. We are living in silhouette debt. We allocate 40 units to work, 40 to family, 30 to health, 20 to hobbies, and suddenly we are at 130%.
And we think, I will just sleep less.
Right. We think the extra 30% is just hustle. But in the physics of the system, that extra 30% isn't extra effort. It is burnout. It is failure. It is the structural collapse of the tent.
So the silhouette allocation process forces you to budget.
Yes. It is the 5-step pipeline. First, desire mapping. You name the root experience how it feels, not just what it looks like. Then component extraction. You derive fruits from your actual constraints.
Then relationship mapping, where you group them into leaves. And then the allocation. You assign the numbers.
And if the numbers don't add up to 100, you have to cut. You have to kill your darlings.
Let's walk through the specific case study in the documents.
Yeah.
Shipping a book. Because this one felt very real.
Okay. The goal is shipped book in 12 months.
Now let's look at the subject. The person trying to do this. They have what the text calls a 128-hour silhouette.
Let's do the math on that. There were 168 hours in a week.
Right.
They sleep for, let's say, 56 hours.
Okay.
8 hours a night. That leaves 112 hours of conscious life.
Okay.
They have a full-time job, commute, kids, meal prep, showers.
The maintenance load.
By the time you run the component extraction, which is the step where you list your non-negotiables, this person had exactly 12 hours of discretionary time left in their week. 12 hours.
That is their silhouette. 12 units.
But their desire map, their goal was to write a book in a year. And the generic advice on the internet is write 2 hours a day.
Which is 14 hours a week?
They only have 12.
They are in debt before they even pick up the pen.
Exactly. If they put write 2 hours on their chart, they're hallucinating. They don't have those 2 hours. So the variable determination process forces them to look at the delineators, the constraints.
So what do? Give up?
No. They get smart. Instead of just writing, they realized they needed a branch called drift containment or capacity. They realized they couldn't create more time. They had to defend the time they had.
So instead of a writing goal, they set a defense goal.
The source material listed some really specific fruits for this. Scroll ceiling.
Scroll ceiling. I like that.
Limiting social media consumption to reclaim fragmented minutes. If you scroll for 15 minutes 4 times a day, that is an hour. That is half your writing time.
And trigger notice.
Noticing when you start to drift into distraction. Catching it early.
These don't sound like writing goals. If you saw scroll ceiling on a vision board for a novelist, you would be confused.
But they are writing goals. They're shipping goals. And that is the lesson. If your chart doesn't account for your specific constraints, if it doesn't include the scroll ceiling alongside the word count, it will fail. The system demands that you map the defenses, not just the offenses.
If your chart doesn't account for your specific constraints, it is a hallucination. That is going on a sticky note on my monitor.
Is the truth. Reality always
Right.
wins. The chart is just a negotiation with reality.
So let's fast forward. We have done the math. We have allocated the silhouette. We have built the branches. We are living the fourth quarter. We are plugging the plug into the outlet every single day. Do we just do this forever? Do we keep calculating fractions and drawing matrices for the rest of our lives?
God, I hope not. That sounds like a prison.
It does. It sounds exhausting.
Hmm.
Hang on, honey, I can't kiss you goodnight. I have to calculate the delineation coefficient of our relationship.
The source material addresses this in Chapter W, the dissolution of structure.
The dissolution of structure, this is the end game.
It is. The question was asked, do we do this math forever? And the answer is no. The ultimate goal is comprehensive comprehension.
Which means...
It means the map becomes the territory.
Okay, unpack that, because that sounds like a Zen koan.
Think about learning to drive a car. Remember when you were 16?
Oh, yeah. White knuckles.
You are hyper-conscious of the structure. Hands at 10 and 2. Check the mirror. Foot on the brake. Ease off the clutch. Signal. Check blind spot. You are calculating every move. You are consulting the chart constantly. That is conscious competence.
It is clunky, it is effortful, it is definitely not flow.
Exactly. But eventually, after a year, after 5 years, what happens?
You just drive. You arrive at work and you don't even remember the commute. You were thinking about dinner or listening to an audio track.
That is unconscious competence. The structure has dissolved into function. You no longer need to check the mirror box on your mental checklist because checking the mirror is just what you do. It has become part of your biology. It has moved from the cortex to the nervous system.
So the goal of the root square chart is to burn the chart.
Yes, the burn the map moment. You stop calculating alignment because you are aligned. The notation, the A over B, the circled plus, the position of 1, it all dissolves. It becomes invisible.
There was a quote in the source material that summed this up beautifully. The question is never whether to abandon structure for spontaneity, but how to build structures so well that they become invisible.
That is the essence of mastery. It's not about being rigid. It is about building a skeleton so strong that the muscle can move freely. A jazz musician knows the music theory so well, they know the matrices, the scales, the math, that they can forget it and just play. That is what we want for your life. We want you to play jazz.
But you can't play jazz until you learn the scales.
Exactly. And most people try to skip the scales and just make noise.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today. We started with the atomic structure, the 75-25 fourth quarter principle, where we learned that the magic isn't in the ingredients, but in the overlap.
We moved to the branched equatorial, that scary 24-pair matrix that keeps your life in dynamic equilibrium, like that orchestra with 2 conductors, one driving, one supporting.
We talked about linguistic resolution turning vague shadows like success into executable laws like scroll sealing and equipment mastery.
And finally, the dissolution. The promise that if you do the work, if you really engage with the physics, the work eventually disappears into who you are.
It is a journey from doing to being.
Exactly. And remember, the fourth quarter is the active ingredient. You can listen to this deep dive, you can download the PDF, you can buy a nice notebook. That is 75%.
The other 25% is actually plugging it in.
Plugging it in.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought from the source material. It is a bit of a philosophical curveball, but it really stuck with me.
The provocative thought.
Yeah. The text asks, we have talked about how to map your problems. But what happens when the map gets so precise it starts mapping you back? What happens when everyone is using these equations? Are we building a clearer society or just a more calculated one?
It is a powerful question. As we get better at the source code of human behavior, do we lose some of the mystery? Or do we just get better at playing the game?
I think that is a question only the fourth quarter can answer. You have to live it to find out.
Indeed.
That is it for this deep dive into the root square chart. Go build your branches, find your fruits, and for heaven's sake, don't forget the overlap. We will see you in the next deep dive.
See you then.